Hey everyone, welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Lucy and I'm here with Adam. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
And I'm Adam. Good to be with you, Lucy. We've got a lot on the cannabis and hemp front today. Some big legal news and some very local headaches.
Yeah, let's dive right in. The big headline is a unanimous Supreme Court decision that narrows one federal enforcement tool related to marijuana users and firearms. That instantly cut a layer of legal uncertainty for the sector.
Right. The court ruled 9-0, and the opinion was written by Justice Neil Gorsuch. The takeaway is pretty specific. Routine marijuana use alone isn't enough, under the Second Amendment analysis, for the government to automatically strip someone of their gun rights.
Importantly, this doesn't change marijuana's federal schedule, or the fact that federal prohibition still exists. It's a constitutional ruling about firearms law, not a legislative overhaul of drug policy.
Exactly, and what I find interesting is how that reduces a headline legal risk that had been hanging over companies and their compliance teams. Analysts note it could ease some sentiment around firms that do business across state lines or deal with federal-facing compliance.
So the real question here is how quickly federal agencies or the Justice Department respond with guidance. Because the ruling narrows an enforcement tactic, but it doesn't answer banking, scheduling, or other major federal issues.
Yeah, that's a good point. Watch for any policy memos or adjustments from federal agencies. Those could shape market reactions more than the court's text itself.
On the fiscal side, there was a big stat released. A new analysis shows cumulative state tax receipts from recreational marijuana total $28.4 billion since legal markets launched.
Wow, $28.4 billion. That number really underlines the scale here. I mean, when you look at the data, some states are now pulling in as much or more from cannabis taxes than they do from alcohol taxes. That changes the political math.
And that fiscal signal tends to keep legalization momentum alive at the state level. Legislators see tax receipts and budget impact, and that can drive more states to consider regulated markets.
Still, it's cumulative. So watch the quarter-to-quarter sales and tax reports from the leading states. Those trends tell you whether momentum is accelerating or cooling.
Now, shifting to something much more immediate and localized. Virginia has a regulatory deadline in August that advocacy groups and many hemp operators say will force small hemp businesses to close before the state's adult use program even launches in about 11 months.
That one really stood out to me. Operators invested under a different set of rules, and now state rulemaking is creating a cliff for them. It's a classic example of how state-level details can create concentrated losers, even when the national picture looks positive.
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by this one. It highlights that policy rollouts are messy. Licensing windows, enforcement dates, grandfathering rules, those specifics can make or break small businesses.
Right, so for listeners, the practical takeaway is to follow state regulatory calendars closely. Those deadlines are market-moving events for local operators and for ancillary businesses that support them.
A couple of other threads worth flagging. Market coverage today also looked at fast-growing grey markets in psychedelics and developments overseas, like changes in Morocco's hash market. That signals expanding consumer interest beyond traditional cannabis product lines.
That's an important point. Adjacent markets like MDMA or DMT products and international supply shifts add both opportunity and regulatory complexity. Companies moving into those areas will face new scrutiny and new rules.
On the trading side, people still watch a handful of sector benchmarks. The big cannabis-focused ETFs, like the AdvisorShares Pure US Cannabis ETF. And names people follow include Tilray, Curaleaf, Trulieve, and Green Thumb Industries.
And analysts note ETF flows and liquidity in large cap names often foreshadow moves in smaller companies. So even if you're not trading ETFs, they can be a useful gauge of investor appetite for the sector.
Before we wrap up, let's be clear on the limits here. The Supreme Court ruling reduces a specific enforcement risk, but it doesn't reschedule marijuana or end federal uncertainty. And state actions like Virginia's deadline can still create concentrated downside.
So to sum up, keep an eye on three things. federal agency guidance following the court decision, state regulatory calendars and licensing deadlines, and tax and sales trends that show whether the market is growing or cooling.
Key takeaways?
1. The court reduced a headline legal risk, but federal policy questions remain. 2. State tax receipts of $28.4 billion strengthen legalization momentum. 3. Local rulemaking, like Virginia's August deadline, can cause real pain for small operators.
Perfect. Got questions? We'd love to hear from you. Head over to stockalpha.ai where you can ask us anything and we'll answer live. And while you're there, check out more market content. Thanks for listening to Alpha Insights.